Before we get into today's show, we will discuss all three things: the NFL draft, trade rumors, and NFL free agency. Of those three, what do you enjoy watching more of when it comes to NFL YouTube videos? Vote D, T, or F in the comments section of today's show. Let's talk Aaron Rodgers here. The saga, the decision, continues to not be fully clear as of filming. We are rapidly approaching this year's NFL draft. We are, at this point, we can count the days that we are away from the NFL draft getting going. And at some point, Pittsburgh has to have their answer from Rodgers. Even if it's kind of not signed, they need some of a verbal commitment here. The Steelers remain the main team here, but per multiple reports, there's been no real progress from their last meeting. And nothing really new since owner Art Rooney came out and said, yeah, we feel pretty good about it. The signs point that direction. Okay, it's been a week since that. Here's what Jeremy Fowler of ESPN said on SportsCenter. I'm told from the Steelers that they remain optimistic, but nothing has changed from when Art Rooney, team president, addressed the media at owners' meeting on Tuesday. That they feel good about this shaking out, that Rodgers will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I have not got definitive word, but they're willing to wait, quote-unquote, a little longer. My question is this: how much longer can you really, truly wait? They need a starting quarterback option. It's not an accident nor a surprise, frankly, that they're bringing in Shedeur Sanders for a pre-visit. They brought other guys in for a pre-draft visit as well. They need a long-term answer. That is certainly not Aaron Rodgers. Given his age, injury is a big question mark. But if they want Rodgers, they can't wait forever. And it is April 8th. Off-season programs begin in days for NFL teams. At a certain point, the question becomes, okay, why are you waiting? Which is what Jeremy Fowler also acknowledged. The Minnesota Vikings, is he waiting them out? That is sort of a lingering question out there. But when I talked with the Vikings, this is all but dead for them, essentially. Maybe if he's available later in the summer, they could revisit, but it seems so unlikely at this point. So it's Steelers, retirement, or bust. So which is it? S for the Steelers, R for retirement, or you can sneak in O for other and comment, let me know which team that is. If you have one, you can be funny and type, put a UFL team if you want to. S, R, or O, go vote at the pinned comments of today's video. Now, there is the very fun theory out there that Rodgers is going to announce, WWE style at Pat McAfee's Pittsburgh event on Wednesday. I probably, unless the deal gets signed, agreed to before then, I wouldn't anticipate Rodgers being there. The Athletics' Mark Kablin, I think I just pronounced it, has said that was not happening. And then even more importantly, Pat McAfee himself said that it's just not going to happen. So he's not, if Pat thought it might happen, I think it'd be a little bit more like open-ended. But, when the decision comes for Rodgers is kind of a big deal for Pittsburgh. They really don't want to wait that much longer. Let's move to Trey Hendrickson. We've got some conflicting info on the, concerning, sloppy situation between Hendrickson and the Bengals. To be quite honest, I don't think the Bengals have handled this correctly. Hendrickson is looking for a new contract. He has not gotten one yet. He requested a trade on the eve of last year's draft. And, now this offseason, the first time he got an extension, kind of a one-year extension, but put him right back in the same spot this year. He seems to think the Bengals are going to take care of him. The Bengals haven't taken care of him yet. It's been rough. And you got Katie Blackburn putting her foot in her mouth saying Hendrickson just needs to be happy at some point. It's not gone well. And it keeps the door open for a potential trade, which we'll discuss here in depth. But first, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And not just MLB tickets, but basketball, concerts, comedy, theater, everything else in between. I am a big fan of the seat view. It's kind of a panoramic, live photo style view from your seat in the app. Just kind of move your phone up, down, left, right, whatever, to actually get a feel for where you're sitting so you don't become the memed version of the guy sitting behind the wall that can't see anything. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, all guaranteed. Just make note the terms do apply. Here's what Ian Rappaport had on the latest on Hendrickson. Yeah, it's a little messy. I believe the Bengals like to keep him and pay him and make it work. They are not in the business of letting good players go. So even when they granted permission to seek a trade, I believe their best option was to sign him and pay him. We'll see if that happens. I still think it is very, very possible. And if that happens, despite all the mess, it'll be a really good offseason in Cincinnati. That's what Rapp said. Now, Tony Pauline, who is hit and miss, but is more of a draft guy, says many tell me Bengals will do this. Take an edge with the 17th pick and then trade Hendrickson on the draft weekend or soon after the 7 rounds are completed. Now, I am more inclined to believe Ian Rappaport there. That is, the Bengals have kind of said they wanted to. That defense doesn't have enough good pieces like to justify trading Hendrickson. They frankly missed on too many draft picks. I get trying to not overpay, but who else on that team do you even want to pay right now? You don't have a lot of big contracts from the pipeline. You're better off just simply paying Hendrickson. So do you think that ends up happening, or is something else potentially coming down the pipeline? Will the Bengals pay Trey Hendrickson? Why for yes and for no? Let me know in the comment section of today's video. Get those predictions in. Let's talk another trade here. This is on one Breece Hall. ESPN mentioned the Jets could shop Hall depending on how the NFL draft goes. And then Hall kind of quote tweeted a meme of a negative reaction reading your phone. So I'm assuming he saw the tweet there. Basically, Aaron Glenn is saying today a more committee approach to have multiple different backs involved in Philadelphia or in New York and to be involved. You know, Braylon Allen impressed down the stretch last year. But that means more or means less reps for Breece Hall. And by the way, Breece Hall is in a contract here. The running back market is already so tenuous as it is, he probably doesn't like that. Here's what ESPN's Rich Cimini wrote on Breece Hall. Glenn's comments surely will fuel trade speculation. Hall's among a handful of players up for a contract extension, most notably Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, both drafted in the same year as Hall. It will be difficult to keep them all long-term. Side note, it's actually probably not because they're not paying a quarterback right now. Anyway, Hall is a gifted player who would attract interest if they go to trade talks. Perhaps the Jets would consider moving him if Boise State star Ashton Jeanty is available with the 7th pick in the April 24 draft. That's noteworthy because we haven't seen a ton of mentions about Hall or about Jeanty and the Jets, by the way. We'll talk about Jeanty here in a moment as well. The biggest issue for Breece Hall is this. His numbers have declined the past 3 years. 5.8 yards per carry in 2022 to 4.5 to 4.2. Not like the Jets were the most conducive environment to ground game success last year, but it is worth mentioning. Hall also has 1 year left on his contract. I've seen some trade ideas out there of like teams giving up a 3rd round pick and more for Breece Hall. I think that's wildly unlikely. I think he is a day 3 at best trade value because he got 1 year of him at affordable $3.4 million, but he's never had 1,000 yards. So no one's giving up a third, I don't think, for 1 year rental at running back. That's not how NFL teams operate. And in the end, I only see a potential Breece Hall trade happening if the Jets spend a 1st or a 2nd or an early 3rd round pick on a back. At that point, they probably end up getting calls. But I don't think it's a likely outcome right this moment. We are rapidly approaching 406,000 subscribers here on Chat Sports. 243 away. Help us get there. Hit that sub button for more free videos and live NFL draft coverage right now. Let's talk Ashton Jeanty. He is one of the best players in this year's NFL draft, but he plays one of the least valued positions, running back. So how early does he end up going? We've got some lines available out there we'll break down. The over-under on his draft pick slot. So over 9.5, meaning after pick 9.5, so 10 and beyond, is plus 200. Under is minus 250, which i.e. is like the Bears pick at number 10. If he's there, do the Bears pass on him? Is basically minus 250. So it's pretty likely that they think that he's gone before the Bears pick, which is noteworthy. Does he make it to Chicago in the first place? We'll break that in a second. Who do you think will end up drafting Ashton Jeanty? Because if you think it's the under on the 9.5, he's gone before the Bears pick. It's one team that really, really stands out there. Let me know in the comments of today's show. It's interesting to see the difference in the over-under 9.5 and maybe they're kind of factoring in some trade-up potential because the Raiders are the main team that could go off the board and take Jeanty before that pick. They're at minus 130. The Bears are plus 250. Then it's the Cowboys at plus 800, Jacksonville plus 1,200, Saints plus 13, Niners, Jets, Patriots plus 18. To put that in, not math, just percentages, the implied probability is 56.5% Raiders, 28.6% Bears, 11% Cowboys, 7% Jags and Saints, and 5% Niners, Jets, and Patriots with some rounding on that front. Jeanty is a special football player. This is I think is going to be a pretty consensus top 5 pick in the NFL draft in terms of like the big boards you see out there, not the mock drafts, just the big boards in the end. He never did the athletic testing. I don't think he's an elite speedster. That's fine. He's not slow at all. He had 2,600 yards this year. 1,970 were after contact. After contact. Now, he had so many carries, that's actually probably a red flag, but the sheer dominance that he showed pretty much regardless of opponent, because he cooked Oregon too, is wildly impressive. He's also, by the way, very good as a pass catcher too. My biggest concern is cut down on the fumbling, and he's had a lot of touches in his career. That might limit him a little bit.